Hello, my name is Semien, and this is gonna be a story of my life altogether, not separate. Well, as you probably have seen some of my other documentaries about my life story, which are Dare to See the Truth, The Man, the Story, and the Legend, The Diaries of Jerry, the 3 DVD, also The Events of Jerry, and If You Only Knew Me. Well, I grew up in Lawton, Louisiana as a young little boy. I've had different experiences in life. I have learned many different things. Sometimes knowledge that a person has doesn't mean anything. Knowledge is supposed to be power, but it's not if you don't know how to use the knowledge that you have. Well, growing up as a kid in Lawton, Louisiana, I was kind of the outcast. Kind of somebody that not too many people really wanted to hang out. I didn't have any friends. So that's something I don't usually make as friends. I've worked a lot of jobs. Especially 9 to 5. I'm in the entertainment business, which means that I write short stories. I write shorts. I also write novelists or short novels or full-length novels. And I also write music, any kind of music. I also do documentaries, different documentaries, or should I say I'm a filmmaker as well. Well, growing up, like I said, in Lawton, Louisiana, it wasn't really easy for me because I was usually dirt poor, if you want to imagine, or very poor. I didn't have a lot of things the other kids had, especially my 2 cousins had. I basically had, when it comes to toys, a lot of these farm animals, plastic farm animals, these are plastic soldiers, or I guess G.I. Joe. I've had a Submarauder, which was a form of Transformers. I've also had a dog. It's a ceramic dog, kind of a small little dog. I've had also one of the Insecticons or Transformers, I said, and I think it's the one with the long metal. You can see, I guess it's like a claw. I've also, like I said, was interested in writing, interested in entertainment business or show business or Hollywood business, whatever you want to call it. As far as my brother was, he was interested in fixing a lot of things, fixing lawnmowers as he started, fixing different things, especially vehicles. And I think that my grandmother and my mother really liked that. Basically, I was almost like a dreamer, and my brother was like hands-on. Well, hanging out with different people, like I said, I've had sexual experiences with different people, especially if you read my autobiography, which was supposed to be entitled The Histories of Jerry. But actually, you could probably read Jerry, the King of Music. Also, you can read other, I guess, memoirs or personal biographies as well through Amazon, which you would see them. One probably is going to be Jerry Hollywood and the Bad Boy of Hollywood. Jeremiah Semien and the Bad Boy of Hollywood. Controversy, the controversial issues, and probably many others. When I mean other books, I'm talking about Jerry, the King of Hollywood, The White Boy Called Jeremiah, which is the artist formerly known as Jerry, I'm also talking about the strange and unusual world, the mind of Jeremiah. Wow, brother, the Jeremiah Semien story, the inspiration of man, the excellent and brilliant world, which is the mind of Jeremiah. Jeremiah Semien, Mad Genius, Dangerously Loved, and Confessions of Jerry Hollywood. Well, as you can read those things, which have not only my autobiography, but also have my cookbook, and you will also read some of my poetry, some of my lyrics to my songs. You can also find out some of my fictional albums. And as a kid, I kind of had an imaginary world, make-believe world. And I pretended in the 1980s, or should I say from 1982 to 1989, I was under Luke Records. Luke Robert Anderson's records. So, as I was under there for a certain, for like I said, that amount period of time, I pretended to go on tour, do a lot of different things. I also was under my own label, which was King's Garden Records and Queen Records from 1990 to 2000. And then from 2000 until supposedly 2015, I'm under my own label, also Luke Records. So as I did all of those things, I kind of wondered about me as a young man having an imaginary world, which sometimes is helpful in certain aspects of life, but then sometimes it can hurt a child, as some people would tell you, or should I say, as a psychologist would tell you. Well, going through my life story, if, like I said, if you think about it, I also was physically abused by my ex-stepfather figure, I guess you could call him. And I remember him chasing around the house with me with a gun and a knife at one point in time. I felt like I was a slave. If anybody could think about being a slave to anything. In this world, we are slaves to a lot of things in this world. It could be material things, which is money, possessions. It could be anything from physical attraction to other people, different people. It could be same sex, opposite sex. It could be any sexual fantasy you could think of. People are slaves to whatever they eat. People are slaves to shopping. It could be an addiction to going to every store you could think of. Well, throughout, like I said, throughout my childhood, I think I struggled with sexuality. I think I struggled with my racial background. I also struggled with being who I am, especially as a kid. And like I said, if you kind of get a hint of who I am, basically I kind of thought I was in the category of being bisexual, but I think if you read, which is called other documentary, watch other documentaries, you can kind of feel my what my sexual orientation is. Actually, and you can kind of understand my racial background, which is mixed with Spanish, French, Indian, African, I guess white, or Caucasian, whatever, or black, or I guess African American, and Jewish and Polish. Since I found out that the king of Poland was King Semien. Actually, my family comes from not only royalty, but slaves. which kind of gives me an opportunity to kind of think twice about my heritage. Even though a lot of people look at me and see a white boy. Actually, I'm supposed to be a African American or black. Some people might say I'm a Latino, Hispanic. Some people might think I'm Arabic if I grow my beard. Some people might look at me and think I'm a mulatto, whatever. My sexual orientation, well, I thought I was basically bisexual because I like men, women and men. It's like, for my sexual orientation, I do look at young ladies, especially, you know, their top chest, breast, titties, whatever you want to call them, knockers. And I started to kind of think about, I guess in my mind, having sex with them. But then I'm mostly pushed towards guys. So I guess that's, if you read, like I said, if you're going to read also other biographies, which is The Sacrifice of Jeremiah, The Memoirs of Jeremiah, if you're going to read The Man That's During the Legend, which is Jeremiah Semien, The Man That's During the Legend. And you may also read The Story of Jared, which is my fictional kind of autobiography about the entertainment business. Well, kind of thinking about all of that, I also had what's called a spiritual experience as well. But I remember going to different schools, especially going to elementary school, which was elementary school, which was in Lawtell, and it went up from kindergarten to 8th grade, and then they have a Lawtell Head Start as well as where I went. And then thinking about going to school, I was bullied at the time. Something I don't like, being bullied, but I think a lot of people go through it. And it was, like I said, it was hard to make friends. I think I was kind of friends with my brother's friends, but not really. And then I had all these different jobs I had, working for these different companies, which I didn't really like these 9-to-5 jobs. I feel as though a 9-to-5 job is good, but it's not for me. I think this modern life really is not for me. It's almost like a killer for me, basically. And I think the entertainment business is the life that I want to lead. I mean, you could tell basically by the way I talk, how I walk, the way I act, especially in the entertainment business. I mean, I really love the business. I love the creative side, not mostly the business, because a lot of people don't like the business side, but mostly the creative side. Now, as you read, yes, I did have a spiritual experience, out-of-body experience, if you want to call it. And I did have should I say, my spirit had a chance to see heaven and hell. And if you kind of read throughout my stories, you can kind of get a glimpse of the information that I have. I also had to kind of look up information of the levels of heaven, which could be the top heaven, the middle part of heaven, and the lower heaven. Which the top part of heaven, which is heaven itself, the middle part, which is the earth itself. Basically, we're supposed to be in some kind of heavenly realm, and then the lower part of heaven, which is hell itself. And then if you're a scholar or archaeologist, you can kind of, well, as a scholar, you can kind of understand the different levels, the different angels, especially what's called the hierarchy of the angels in heaven, the hierarchy of the demons and everything in hell. You can kind of figure out a little bit as an archaeologist. You can kind of dig up things from the past, learn from past history. If anyone has ever watch the documentary, which is called The Historical Chronicles, Volume 1 and Volume 2. You can kind of see the history of mankind, which I mostly talk about mankind itself, from Adam and Eve to the Roman cultures, to the Greek cultures, to the Minoans, probably the Manoans, which was the ones in the flood, the culture in the flood. Then you'll probably read about cultures from all throughout Europe, through Africa. Because if you think about it, talking about slavery, which was not only in the United States, but it did happen in Europe as well as Africa itself. So a lot of people probably don't think of slavery as just being anywhere else but around here. People think about slavery. Okay, as you go through, like I said, each documentary about my life, basically about the books that you read, you can kind of understand some of the things that happen. And I guess when you thinking about me being a writer, I think the dream became reality in 2001 when my first poem, Love, was published on the internet. The internet is pretty a good tool to use, especially when you're trying to promote to people around the world. But going to different radio stations, television stations, is pretty good too. Going to different libraries to promote is also good. Traveling can help you as well. And for me, especially when it becomes, or should I say when I came into the music aspect of it, is when I started writing the lyrics and music to my first song, which was called Smile, at the time that came out. And in this business, which the entertainment business is a hard business, especially when I have my own music publishing, which is 3 different music publishings, which is King's Garden Publishing, Jeremiah Semien Publishing, and Rainbow Children Publishing, as well as King's Garden Enterprise, or should I say King's Garden New Generation Enterprise, King of Music Enterprise, besides J-Man Pictures, besides my film company Jeremiah Semien Films, as well as the record labels, which is King's Garden Records, New Generation Records, New Power Network Records, Queen Records, King of Music Records, especially some of mine, which is Jerry International Records, Jerry Records, and Jeremiah Semien Records. So, kind of starting that, plus a non-profit organization, Jeremiah Semien's non-profit organization, which helps to create word ministries for my brother, because he became a preacher. And not only that, but contacting my own business partner in Florida, especially my other business partner who used to live in New York, now lives in Canada, and contacting a lot of other artists. Finally, also, I guess, achieving what my grandfather wanted to achieve, and start to contact a lot of my cousins throughout the world, which is pretty good as well. So I think I have done pretty much almost everything that you could think of. And I think when you learn from the past, you kind of have to learn from everything that you need. I think by going through my own stories about not only about my life, but even if you read stories about my characters and what they go through in the past, I think as an artist I leave a little bit of myself in everything I do, which is documentaries, which could be songs, It could be poetry that I write. It could be any short story, any short novel or novelist, or any full-length novel. You can kind of understand that I leave a little piece of myself within these projects that I'm doing, or with any of my artistry. And I think at the end, which could be my final days in life, which a lot of people do have their own final days in life, and how you choose to live it, especially a lot of elderly people who usually be in a nursing home, and for a certain amount of time they enjoy, I guess, certain privileges or certain things in life. And I suppose as a person, you want to do that. You want to leave some kind of legacy for people in the world to know. Plus, you want to also try to make people understand who you are as a person. I also, I guess, not only possess knowledge of this world and the afterlife, I also have information, like I said, about mankind and what happened throughout the years or centuries. And then also, I myself personally, like everybody else, usually is weight conscious as well. Try to lose, I usually lose and gain weight. And I suppose that you have to love yourself no matter what people say. I think that also in my life I learned a little bit of little magic tricks and stuff like that, especially with cards. And I also learned how to, I guess, kind of read them in a sense of, if you think about it, all the hearts are usually the yes answers, and all the spades are usually the no answers, and then the diamonds and clubs are the maybe answers. So if you kind of think about it like that, it's something that people shouldn't dabble with. There's a lot of things people shouldn't dabble or shouldn't deal with, and in the long run it could hurt a person, especially when you look up information on certain creatures, demons if you want to say, and not kind of out loud say their names, stuff like that. It kind of makes it bad for a human being. But I think overall, I think I've done a lot. I think from my great-grandmother dying, through my grandmother that passed away, through a cousin of mine, which, well, he was married to a cousin of mine. This guy was married, but almost kind of like a grandfather figure. Well, since I didn't know my grandfather, which had died when I was 1 year old. I think overall, it hasn't been bad. Sometimes I think life can be worse. Sometimes I think I'm not really happy, but I am. And I think in the long run, you have to really and truly find some kind of happiness, some kind of peace, tolerate people in life. I guess you shouldn't get too angry, shouldn't be upset all the time. I think it hurts a person's body. I think finding peace somehow is up to each and every individual person in life, especially for me personally. And happiness should not depend on what you have. It should depend on loving yourself and who you are as a person. That's what I think. Okay, not only do I have documentaries, but I do have performances. I'm not the best artist, if you think about it. I'm not the best singer, actor, model, dancer. a writer if you think about it. But I believe as an artist that I am pretty good at my craft, what I do. I think every person in the world is pretty good at what they do, especially if you have a 9 to 5 job. If whatever position or whatever job you're into, I think everybody can master their own craft as you think about it. Well, as you kind of read my own story or watch the story about my own life, I guess you can tell a little bit about me. Sometimes I feel as though that when people do me wrong, and like I said before, sometimes you got to find peace in this world. Sometimes when people do me wrong, I feel like I just want to do them wrong, kind of hurt them somehow. But I guess in the long run, if I find somehow to make peace not only with the people that do you wrong, but find peace within yourself, I suppose. Now, I think maybe prayer could help. Also, if you do different type of exercise, a lot of people do exercise in the world. Some people lift weights. Some people are bodybuilders. Some people are average build. Some people are slim, skinny, if you want to think about it. Some people are medium size. Some people are, I guess, buffed up. But I feel as though not just that, but probably like I used to do yoga and Pilates at one time. And I feel like if you can maybe do some kind of spiritual, I guess, spiritual awakening, spiritual prayers, whatever. If you can find peace in this world, I think that's the best thing. Because it's not getting better for us as human beings, not on this earth. And a lot of people can read the Bible, but I feel as though to really get an understanding of mankind, you need to read the Bible. You need to read different history books, especially from different cultures, and put it all together. I did that one time when I went to the library, kind of reading different historical books, especially going to school, kind of reading these historical books, reading the Bible, and kind of piecing together mankind's history. Which basically, there's nothing new under the sun, if you think about it. Okay, not only have I had any performances, which could mean the Dare Tour, the reinvention of myself. It could be Yesterday, Today, and Forever. It could be The One and Only, which it could be the ultimate videos or ultimate stories in the film. It could also be probably King of Music, which could be the domination or recessiveness of mankind. It could be the spiritual experience. It could be the King Resigns. It could be any sort of performances. Not only do I have performances, but I have comedy acts as well. And I think that laughter is the best medicine. It's better to laugh than to cry. And I've heard that from many people. So I think with my comedy acts, with my performances, with the documentaries, with the stories, poetry, and music, I think I can kind of let people know that I'm telling stories with anything. And hopefully the viewer or the reader will come up with their own conclusion about me as a person, especially about my life. And I do like to thank all the readers and all the viewers for getting a chance to read my information. It could mean that some people can read my different stories, which could be The Poet's Dream. It could be The Vault, The Crystal Ball, which is the poems. It could be stories called Tales of Unknown, The Stranger. It could be the whole Tales of Unknown collection. It could mean Brothers Night Out. It could mean The Trial Lawyer. It could be The Researcher. It could be stories, short stories like the Kama Sutra that I've written the short stories. It could be short stories called Playboy, or any short story called maybe Gangbanger. It could be other things that you read, that it could be stories, especially novels like the End of the World, the Deuce Deuce story. It could be novels of Vladimir Caracella. It could be The House of Terror. It could be Jerry, or should I say Vacation. Or it could be J&J's Big Business. It could be stories like the Dracula story, the Jerry story. It could be anything that I've written. It could be the album Smile. It could be the soundtracks that have come out from some of these films or that was done. So whatever I do as an artist, like I said before, I would like the reader, the viewer to get an understanding of who I am, and hopefully in the long run have an open mind and think about things that I have done or I'm doing, and hopefully I can inspire other proteges, should I say, or should I say, hopefully get young people in the world to do what I'm doing if they want to be in this kind of business. And you'll probably find out that, especially living in Louisiana, that we go through a lot of hurricanes, and you'll probably get a glimpse of what happened to one of the houses I lived with my mother in it, and get a glimpse of that aspect of my life as well. Because yes, I have been through a lot of hurricanes. Now I found out we do have tornadoes that's around Louisiana, which is some unexpectedly. I also talk to people about global warming. A lot of people don't believe in global warming, but I believe that this earth is warming, especially us as humans. We're almost like locusts. We'll devour everything as human beings, which could be any and everything. So as the earth is heating, I feel, when I did my research, that every planet does go through a global warming. But as humans, we're helping the earth warm twice as much. And I think that's what's happening with the freaky weathers we are having. Okay, as probably my viewers will see some of my short footage or short films on the internet, you'll probably hear me talking about global warming. You'll probably hear me talking about going green, trying to plant a few trees to help with global warming. You'll probably see me singing. You'll probably see me talking about the earthquakes or the disasters that's going through in life, even if it's political, social events that I'm talking about. You'll probably even see me even trying to expose my books. So with all these different things, I feel as though I also watch the news, the weather, and try to make sense of what's going on in this world. I think we all as human beings have to. Sometimes we go a little crazy, like me, as I worry a lot. But I feel as though we shouldn't think emotionally. We should all think logically. That's the best choice a human being can make, is think logically, not emotionally. Because emotionally, you go, as human beings, especially me, I'm a emotional roller coaster. So I go through a lot of emotional different feelings, and thinking logically is better for a human. So I think at the end I could say that I am starting to grow as a person, but I think I have more growing up to do, or more growth, learning more, doing more, and hopefully I may not be a mechanic, and I may not be a carpenter, even though my brother and my mother and I, we did a project building a little, I guess, a little house, a little small storage unit or storage room. I may not be a lot of these other things, but trying to do my best, having backup plans in this world helps me as a person, helps me to move on, understand more, and grow more as a human.